All right, we are live. We'll just give a few minutes for people to come in. But welcome everybody. We are Small Business Saturday podcast today, and this is actually Small Business Saturday, the nationally recognized day for you to support a small business. And we have a very special episode. We're talking about a lot of uh, current topics that were in the news. We're going to be talking about a lot of legal topics that everybody's talking about. We're going to address it today. If you're a small business owner, you're going to definitely learn a lot. And we're going to try to break down as much as we possibly can within the time frame that we have. Plus, we are going to do a special trademark giveaway for one small business owner who chooses to chime in and listen in today. But it's going to be a really great episode. And I'm just looking forward to seeing the comments and seeing what people have to say. And just even the recording, I'm looking forward to seeing how people respond even after the recording. But first, before we get into any topics, I want everybody to just introduce who they are, what they do, and where can they find you. So we'll start with you, Attorney Whitley.
Hello, my name is Attorney Jacoby Whitley. I'm a practicing attorney in the District of Columbia. In the words of Attorney Shannon Buari, I offer a buffet of legal services. Yeah, I had to take it. But that's essentially the bag, man. We're very down to earth, straightforward law firm. We do will and deal in the various different areas that are all business related and things like that. Type of law that the common person needs. So if you're a common person and you have a legal issue, feel free to give us a call. I'm clever, so the number's on the screen.
Yes, sir. He's promoting himself throughout the episode. Who wants to go next? Attorney Bonza?
It's generally Attorney Buari, but I can it's generally him, so I always go last. So we keep the routine here.
Okay, go ahead, Attorney Buari.
I'll make it quick. I think, Cove, you stole my thunder. Attorney Shannon Buari. I practice here in the great state of Indiana, although I am born and raised in Columbus, Ohio. So I apologize for my early departure because we do play that team up north today. Like Cove said, I offer a legal buffet of services. I practice everything except employment law and criminal law. So I think your buffet might be a little bigger than mine, Cove, because I think you might incorporate some of those practices. Primarily on the business and corporate side, though. I'll do some PI, some med-mal, but my main focus is small businesses, individuals like you all. Chief, take it away.
Good morning, and happy holiday to you and your family. We are located in the state of
Attorney Bonza, your wife it's a little disconnect there.
Is it disconnect?
Yeah, I can hear you, but it's cutting in and out. So just check your connection.
With this, Attorney Bonza from Bonza Law. We're located and licensed in the state of Illinois. We do business transaction, injuries, family laws, and privacy law. We welcome you to the show again. We hope to or to learn from you as well. Thank you. Enjoy the show.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for you guys coming in. I'm Justin Camper. You can find me at Justin Camper Law, small business and criminal attorney. And I'm just looking forward to getting into this podcast. I'm located in the state of Indiana, but we got a really good podcast today. And I see that we have some listeners. I just ask that you would just let me know who you are, where you're from. We want to interact with you. And if you are a small business owner, let us know what's your business, and if you want to get the participate in the trademark giveaway, let me know what's your business, and why do you need a trademark? Why do you feel like you need a trademark at this time? So we'll go ahead and get started. We're going to be just announcing. We're going to be promoting small businesses today. So if you have a small business, put it in the comments below. Everyone that I see, hopefully I'll be able to recognize it, and we'll be able to promote your business. So if you have a small business, put it in the comments. We want to promote it. We want to support you on this Small Business Saturday podcast. So the first topic that I wanted to get into is I wanted to talk about the feds. And I wanted to talk about this new rule that's coming out that the federal government wants to start tracking the money that you obtain through Cash App. And a lot of business owners, it's what the federal government has found out. They have been hiding funds through Cash App. They basically, what happens is, people use Cash App, they use Venmo or whatever, PayPal, whatever, to collect money, to send money, and they're not reporting that income, the extra income that comes in. And so now the IRS is ready to get their cut next year. According to the new rule under President Biden's American Rescue Plan Act, they are allowed to take a closer look at cash transactions of more than $600. The new rule is meant to crack down on self-employment workers who receive income through apps, not personal payments, like if someone paid you back for a dinner or you were gifted money. But if someone is receiving a steady stream of money through these Cash App, it looks like income, and then it will make that unreported business income more visible to the IRS. I want to go to you, Attorney Barry. I know that you deal with taxes. You have a LLM in tax law and things like that. How do you think this is going to affect small business owners, and to the small business out there that are listening? What should they do to make sure that they are compliant with the IRS?
So me personally, I've actually had this question be presented by a couple clients of mine, and I tell them don't use it. Unless there's dire needs, dire consequences, I tell them just either still do the check thing, maybe carry a Foursquare card so you can take credit card. But I don't like them because they could become those tax dash havens, shelters, etc. Right, and then the question becomes, and I think I might be jumping the gun a bit, but how do you separate your business transactions from your personal without it making it seem, without it looking like you're commingling funds, right? And I think that's where you get in trouble. So unless a business, and this is the advice I give, unless you're able to use separate emails, I know for Venmo or maybe Zelle, it's a phone number. Unless you're able to separate business accounts from personal accounts, I usually say let's not worry about them, because like you said, that unrelated business income that you get, the IRS is going to try to come tax you, right? And then they're not going to differentiate between the two. They're going to say, look, this is what we say it is. And now that small business owner has some work to do, right? Because now you have to sit down with some sort of tax attorney and or your accountant, and you have to actually go through the transactions to figure out what was actually related to the business and what was related to, as you alluded to, somebody paying you back for dinner, or paying you back from a bet you lost or something like that. And then you have to explain to the IRS why you failed to report that income. If in the event you do fail to report that income, why you failed to report it. And I think the reason, again, people were using these particular apps is to kind of sidestep having to report income tax on every transaction associated with the business. So I don't like them personally, but if you are going to use them, I think what you do is you separate, whether it be create a different Gmail, create a different link or something like that, so that the app is solely associated with your business, and we're not incorporating, gifts for Christmas or birthdays or anything like that in it.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that's really interesting that you are advising business owners not to actually use Cash App. And I want to just make sure I'm going to keep putting this out there. If you, whoever you are, I know we're in the up to the double digits of people listening. Just make sure you put in the comments who you are, where you at, and especially if you have a small business, make sure you put that small business in the comments so that we can shout you out. But Attorney Whitley, what are your thoughts on this?
I agree with Shannon that small business owners should be definitely leery of the infamous term commingling funds. And if you do use Cash App to not, for your business, you don't want to have any personal transactions go through a Cash App. So I agree with Shannon. The best practice if you're going to use Cash App, have two. I'm a 2-phone guy myself, right? So personally, I have 2 Cash Apps. One is for my business, and then on the other phone is a personal Cash App for personal situations. So I don't, because commingling funds is like a no-no in the legal community. So that's something that we always have our mind on. But outside of the legal community, to explain why that's an issue, the commingling of funds, is that the whole reason you have an LLC, most likely, is what a lot of people have now. It's one of the most popular corporate formations, corporate entities, is you want to have that protection, right? That if I get sued, my business is being sued and not my personal self. Commingling funds is one of the quickest ways that a lawyer can produce evidence that you were not adhering to the corporate formalities. Therefore, that corporate veil that the LLC provides you should be pierced, and therefore your personal assets could be become available if it comes to a lawsuit. So that's why I think that the focus is you don't want to commingle funds, and make it a best practice not to do so. But if you do have some type of Cash App, have 2, so you don't commingle funds, and that's bad because a person has the opportunity to pierce the corporate veil and then proceed after your personal assets.
Okay.
And if I could just piggyback off of that, Justin, I actually had a client who was using Cash App, and there was actually, a small business. So we'll say arbitrarily it was about $15,000 that was pursuant to 2 transactions. Well, when they went to transfer the money from Cash App to the bank rejected the transaction, right? So now the money couldn't get to the bank. So you have this small business owner who has $15,000 arbitrarily sitting in this phantom app, and the bank wouldn't accept the transaction, right? They had to go. They had to fill out tons of forms to substantiate where the funds came from and that they weren't part of a terrorist organization. I mean, it took about 2 weeks for this 15 grand to be released to this small business. And for a small business, $15,000 is a lot of money, especially when it's subject to, I think this was accounts payable. So the monies that they were receiving actually were accounted for something already. But then the business couldn't proceed to use those funds until the bank decided to release them. So that's the other side of, and not saying that couldn't have been the case if this individual just went to take a $15,000 check to the bank and put it in their business account, right? But I think because that amount of money was coming from an app, like a Cash App or a Venmo, and being transferred to a bank account, the bank, and then, they had called us and we got involved, but the bank basically said, it's not up to us. Our legal said don't accept this amount of money from these apps yet. So that was the other side of that coin. Small businesses may run into trouble trying to transfer large amounts from these apps and have access to that money relatively quickly.
And Justin, just to give and go, to bring it back to the point, because we were given that breakdown about corporate formalities and things like that, how it relates to this article is that lowering the standard or the trigger point to $600, now most small businesses have the opportunity and the potential to be exposed to scrutiny with the IRS, right? So that scrutiny, if your corporate formalities aren't in place, you can get tagged for that. So now the risk greatly increases for pretty much all small businesses, because there's not a small business that does transactions that won't get a $600 transaction most likely, or accumulate $600 worth of transactions on a consistent basis is probably when they really get into parsing out the regulation. Probably will incorporate that too, but I'll reserve the rest of my time for my uncle.
Yeah, Mayumbo. I mean, what do you think? I kind of have a different perspective on it, but what are your thoughts on this situation?
Well, it's always about what. Are you guys there?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. It's always about what you know before you delve into anything, and specifically if you are a business owner. The Cash App app is regulated by the Electronic Funds Transfer Act. Most of users, before delving in it, of course, they may not have learned or know anything about that act, that law that regulates there. And most consumers may not even have read the
You're on mute, Mayumbo. We can't hear you anymore. Yeah, you went on mute, Mayumbo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something.
So, what I was, it's up to the consumer. How they need to know how the app can protect, right? Whether against later auditing or against any fraudulent activities. Because right now, lawsuits, sometimes 2020 fall, last quarter of the year, it was about Thorn versus Square. Square is actually.
Yeah, Mayumbo, I'm sorry. It's cutting in and out. It's really hard to really hear you. I was gonna say maybe sign in, sign back out. Yep. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. Thanks. We had some people who chime in, was commented. Candace Camper says hello. My sister-in-law. Thank you for listening. Uncle Reginald, thank you for listening. Nice stuff, guys. Thank you for listening. Please chime in. Al Williams, he said, hard to hear. Thanks for that comment. Al Williams has a business. Go ahead and promote your business in there. We want to make sure we promote all small businesses today. So, everybody who has a small business, promote it. We want to make sure that we are tuning in. We've gotten up to almost 20 views today. So this is our largest that we've had so far. So please make sure that you're tuning in and come on in, promote your show. The Alan Powell Show. Thank you for he has a radio show called the Alan Powell Show, and talking about sports, and great show. I've been on there plenty of times. And let's see, we got Mequan from. You said what'd you say?
Do you know if he's on what's that radio app? Not Radio One, but
I think he's more so on iHeartRadio. I'm not sure, but I think he's just on all the major platforms like Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, things like that. But you can look him at the Alan Powell Show. We got Mequan from Indiana. Great stuff. We appreciate you being here. We got Mr. Warner, my father-in-law. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming in, commenting. And we are giving away a trademark service today. So if you would like a trademark like Al, make sure you put in a comment. I know you have a small business. Make sure you put in a comment. If you don't have a trademark, why would you need a trademark? How would a trademark help you? How would my service help you in your business? So make sure you put that comment. We're going to do a special giveaway at the end. Okay, so we were talking about Cash App, and my thoughts on this is a little different because we got Jesse from Chicago. Appreciate you being here. Thank you, my brother, my marketer. Thank you for being here. We got Leslie. How you doing, Leslie? Thank you for being here. Her small business is a Helper's Heart Home Care. She does work with seniors, I believe. When you put your small business, go ahead and just give a little description of what you do. And Leslie, if you don't have a trademark, put in there, how you trademark service will be beneficial to you. We're offering a free trademark service at the end. We're going to vote and pick one person. So please comment. So I think when it comes to Cash App, I think that a lot of people use it because it's simple, it's easy. Oh, hey, you don't take cash? Okay, I got my Cash App. Okay, you don't have a card? If you don't have the Square, hey, you got the Cash App out, right? It's extremely simple, right? When it comes to Zelle, when it comes to Venmo, Cash App, all those platforms are extremely, extremely simple. And so that's why people use them. Now, Cash App has on there a business version, and then they have a personal version. So what I would advise, if you are really concerned about this, make sure you use the business version. But the big thing is it's all about keeping track of your transactions. So whether you take money off the street and you are you selling corn on the street, whether you are whether you're taking money through Zelle and whatever you take money, I would just say, make sure that you are keeping good records of it. Now, like I use QuickBooks, right? Now I don't use QuickBooks for invoicing, but in QuickBooks, you can actually invoice someone through QuickBooks. If you guys don't know, QuickBooks is just an accounting system. And basically, it keeps track of everything for you. So it helps you with your taxes. I know you guys are kind of against Cash App and Zelle and these other forms. What do you think is the best way for a business? Like us attorneys, we have, a client, we have a case management system. So we can invoice people through our case management system. But for, the guy selling corn on the street, how do you expect people to take in transactions without using Cash App, Zelle, or Venmo?
I'll jump in there. So look, you got to get it how you live, right? So if you're a mobile entrepreneur and you got to get it on the go, and you have to use Cash App, do just that. Square, what have you. But going back to what you said, Justin, keep the bookkeeping. And if there is an option to register under your business with your business account, and not your personal account. And I think that's another thing is we want to back out to, that you want to have a business bank account for your business and not run your business off of your personal account, whether you're a guerrilla entrepreneur or you have a brick and mortar store. So I think just get it how you live, but make sure that you are applying for services under your business, and everything business related is run through your business banking account.
Okay, and I agree with that. I think the most important take, and I understand sometimes, Square costs 3% per transaction, and Chase Bank has something, and these banks offer services, and I understand that, Cash App and Venmo and Zelle tend to be free. But I think at the end of the day, this is where it pays to pay attention to detail, right? In more ways than one. So in the event you do decide to incorporate one of these apps into your business, you have to take the extra step and the necessary precautions to ensure that transactions are actually detailed, right? And they're explained and line item, and you don't take in $700 in a day $200 is from a gift from Kobe, $300 is from the business, $150 is somebody paying you back for a hair, and you don't remember. And you don't remember the details surrounding that, right? Because when the IRS sends that letter, they're going to say, Mr. Camper, we understand that you use a particular invoice or that you underreported income by this amount.
Mhm.
And it's up to you to turn around and substantiate how that amount is either incorrect, correct, and why. If you can't, and I tell people this all the time, if I need to use, let's say, a Venmo, be as detailed in the description as possible, right? So if I Venmo you $7 for that street corn, then put in the description, for street corn, for camper corn, right? Don't just say 125 or $7 to just a camper, because now it's like, well, are you giving me $7 or are you actually buying the street corn? So if you're going to use the app, be as detailed as possible, and that's where the small business owner provides that advice to the customer. Hey, let's not just give me $10. Make sure you put in the description $10 for corn and drink, right? $10 for corn and coffee or whatever. So I'm not against it. I'm just saying when you're running fast paced, people tend to get sloppy, right? And that's when a Cash App or a Zelle really doesn't help. When at the same time, if I can just continuously swipe a credit card through Square or even tap it on an iPad or something like that. So that's kind of where I think in the event of small business, and I agree with you, Justin, about the convenience factor. But I think at that point, the small business owner must take the necessary precautions to ensure that they are having each transaction detailed, because it makes it easier for us when we get involved.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that that's really a really good point. The main thing that we want you guys to get is just making sure that you separate your transactions. Nothing wrong per se with taking money from Cash App, Venmo, or whatever, but you got to make sure that you're separating those transactions. Have a separate Cash App for your business, and it really benefits you at the end of the day, right? Because all those business expenses can help you with your taxes at the end of the day. And if you just out here just spending money and you're spending money on your business, but you're not keeping track of those things, you're gonna be paying more in taxes. Am I telling the truth or am I
Amen.
Okay, so make sure that you keep track, you separate it. Have a separate Cash App for your business, have a separate Venmo for your business. Keep track of what you're spending on your business. I'm not an accountant, but talk to your accountant. Keep track of what you're spending, whether you are spending money on buying the corn, on the cups, on whatever, whatever you're doing, you're traveling, make sure you spend money. Whatever you're doing, make sure you keep track of it. And that's how you win. So we got a few comments I want to go through. Candace says, "Hi, I'm here." And she says, trademark be very rich for our brand. Thank you, Candace. I'm actually not voting on who gets the trademark. It's going to be one of these three gentlemen are going to vote. So I know about your business. So make sure you put in the comments, what is your business and exactly what would you like to get trademarked and how valuable would it be for your business. Leslie said a trademark will be beneficial for my agency because we plan on expanding to other states to provide quality and home care to the same community. Our logo, mission, and slogan was all created by myself. I would love to own the intellectual property of my business. Thank you for that comment. You seem like you're on the right track. Absolutely, a trademark will help you protect your brand across multiple states if you get a federal trademark. So that is very important. We're going to announce the winner at the end. These three gentlemen are going to vote. They're going to text me. They're going to vote who they believe should get it. But thank you for that. Sam said, shout out from Indiana. Thank you for shouting out from Indiana. Glad you're here. Miquan says, great advice. I need to take heed. Thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And Patrick Warner says, amen. Thank you, Patrick. And so we're going to move on to our next topic. Attorney Bonza, I'm glad you're back. So we're going to move on to our next topic. Our next topic is, let me pull it up here. Our next topic is, I want to talk about Dana Chanel, okay? And Dana Chanel is a influencer on Instagram, and basically she gives out different business tips for small business owners. And she started off with she created an app called Sprinkle of Jesus, and it was an app where they basically would send you different Bible quotes every month, and or every week or every day or whatever. And it ended up popping, right? She ended up getting a lot of people. She made a lot of money from it, and then from there, she ended up branching off to doing other businesses. And so one of the things that she did was she created she created a company called Alakazam, where she created apps for for other people. And then she created a company called Credit Exterminators, where she helped people with their credit. And then so she created these different companies. Her husband is also an influencer. And he created his own companies called Jumpin' Jack's Tax and Jumpin' Jack Life Insurance. And so both of them work together. They influence. They share their legal knowledge to small business owners. Well, recently they just got sued by the Attorney General's office for allegedly scamming small business owners. And that complaint said that basically, when it came to Alakazam, that there were different people who bought the app. The app wasn't, who bought her service, but the app wasn't working. Or when they bought the service, I mean, they spent like maybe $2,000. When they bought the service, uh, the app, they sent them a business marketing manual, so not actually doing the work for their business. Then it was on the credit exterminator side, where they were supposed to fight and dispute a credit, something that was wrong with someone's credit, and they actually end up not doing it, and that there were just still issues with their credit scores. They paid them to do something, and it wasn't done. Now the Attorney General is coming down on them hard, and they're facing a lot of legal issues. I want to go to you, Attorney Bonzo. What are your initial thoughts about this situation?
Well, you have to look at it from the standpoint of, say, consumer always, right? Um, when you getting into this business with uh, uh, businesses like this one here, you've got to make sure that your interests are protected. And how do you protect your interests? You protect your interests by reading what you are offered, and trying to understand what you are offered. And if it's too much, just don't rush in the decision of locking yourself in. Call somebody that knows a little more than you. Call somebody, if you can, then find a lawyer that can review these things, because it's in situations like this that people end up losing a whole lot of money. In the state of Pennsylvania, among the many charges the individuals being then a channel is being charged with is consumer fraud. So if we want to narrow this down in aspect of state of Illinois consumer fraud, you know, you ask yourself as a business person, is what I'm doing now susceptible of bringing in charges of consumer fraud later on? Am I being deceptive? Am I offering a room or an interpretation for being deceptive? You know, uh, things of that nature. So I wouldn't just, I will do myself a disfavor if I don't speak on not on behalf, but trying to look at it from the other side of the coin too. What she did not come in and sell you the business per se. To me, correct me if I'm wrong. It seems like she was a promoter, right? Then what a promoter can be charged with here, we're looking at a representation of facts. But in that representation, was she given some kind of guarantee of the end result, right? So now, as I said in the beginning, you as a consumer want to look at what I am being offered in those fine print. When I signed up here, did I like the lady in, or I was basically dealing with the third party or the vendor, right? So I think there's a lot of ways of looking at this, and the bottom line is always read what you buying, understand what you're buying before you like, and don't give up too quick to the pressure of the salesperson and stuff. That's pretty much what I can say for now.
Okay, yeah, I think you brought up a lot of good points about fair marketing, make sure that you're very clear with your clients. I wanted to bring out a point, and so I think it's a good teaching moment to teach people about the Attorney General's office and what they do. So the Attorney General, they represent the state, or the United States, which is federal, and they have different divisions, right? And particularly, they have a consumer protection division, which protects consumers and business from being victimized by fraud, deception, and unfair business practices. So if a consumer doesn't like something that you're doing, they feel that you're a scam, they can always report you to the Illinois Attorney General, Illinois or Indiana, wherever state you're in, Attorney General's office. So that's just something to keep in mind when you are doing business. And Jacoby, I saw you shake your head up and down. Did you want to add something to that?
Oh, no, you just brought up a good point. So I have to refer cases. So sometimes clients come to me and say, look, this guy, I was frauded. Maybe it was wire fraud. Maybe you induced somebody to give you a loan, but you never had an intent of paying them back, stuff like that. So and they're like, look, I want to go to court. I want to sue to get my money back. But in that, I'm like, cool, smooth, not a problem. But what I will also advise is that you contact the Office of the Attorney General to see if we can, the package that we present to them, they will prosecute that case for you. And just reading one of the comments to make it kind of make sense for all the viewers. So in civil court, you're going to get of course, monetary damages, compensatory damages, whatever. But the Office of the Attorney General, they can fine the person, right? And there's other civil penalties that they can invoke. But it's good for your civil case, because if you get a conviction or a win on that side, it can help prove your civil case. So I like to launch those in conjunction with each other for my clients to kind of give them that full I want to say that full view when we present a case. So people don't know about the Office of the Attorney General. So I just please explain that, because that is a very powerful mechanism that, as my umbo was mentioning and pinpointing, that consumers can appeal themselves to. And in the complaint that you provided, all the charges that they're facing are basically consumer protection laws.
Right.
So as a small business person, if you are a small business owner and you're selling goods to consumers, you need to know the consumer protection laws of your state.
Right.
Because they may be different from Illinois to Indiana, DC to LA. Mm-hmm. But every state is going to have consumer protection laws, and they're all going to be around about misleading the consumer. Mm-hmm. And what are the elements of that?
Sure. And so Alexandra Camper, my wife, said, what will be the penalty for them if the court rules against them? And I think you kind of already hit it, which is basically civil penalties, because we're under the criminal protection division. But if criminal charges were filed, will be, with the prosecutor's office, potentially, if they wanted to go criminal. But right now, they're just trying to get them to pay penalties for breaking the law. They're trying to, I think one of the things they said was they have to shut down the business, and then also it will just return the money back to the people that paid. So those are just a lot of right now with her particular situation. It's just a civil suit. But we got some people who commented. I want to go through them really quickly. Sam said, "Have you heard about the government charging all Cash App and Quick Pay transactions?" Yeah, we just got done talking about that. Definitely make sure that you separate your personal Cash App between your business Cash App to keep track of all those transactions. Vina Marie said, "Good morning, Vina Carter in Dallas, Texas, with Authentic Embrace LLC. We are a mobile spa and wellness service that provides professional massage therapy, massage parties, reflexology, and home natural aromatherapy products for on the go wellness. A trademark will be useful as we are expanding our product line and services nationally. It's extremely important for my brand to be protected. www.abeembrace.com. Thank you for this platform with all this valuable information." Thank you, Vina. We appreciate you for coming in and just sharing, your business, and hopefully, you get you're part of the drawing now. So one of these three gentlemen are going to vote. I'm out at the vote because I'm providing the service, and I know a lot of these people here. So they're going to vote, and they're going to choose who they want to get the free trademark service. Candace Camper says, "My company offers U.S.-based virtual assistants that provide creative and administrative services to help small business owners all over the U.S. focus on the aspects of their business that they do best while outsourcing the rest to us. A trademark will be very beneficial to us to help protect our brand as we serve others." Thank you, Candace, for putting that out there. I'm actually one of her customers. A virtual assistant is a very high need, especially amongst lawyers. And so I appreciate your business. I think that a trademark would be very beneficial for your business. All right, so we're going to continue on with this. So Dana Chanel, she's dealing with this civil suit. Now, my question is, what should business owners take from this? Now, I'll give you my thoughts. I don't know if you guys actually knew Dana Chanel before this whole situation happened, but I actually followed her. I'm one of her followers. I'm one of her husband followers. And so I actually, was somewhat of a fan of what they do, their work. Was very disappointed when I read this complaint. Now, I still don't necessarily believe that that was their intention. I think that they may have been focusing on scaling and not having the right procedures and policies in place. I just don't see them as scam artists, as they've been labeled as now. Now there's multiple YouTube videos against them, and they were on the shade room, and it's really tarnishing their brand. So my question to actually I had a question, but I want to change that question. My question to you guys: if Dana Chanel was your client, how would you advise her in this situation?
It depends. Advisor for now, this case, or for the future?
This case in particular,
For
and
this
I guess
case,
in the future too. I guess because they kind of coincide, but
for this case in particular, the first thing I want to go through is every single paperwork they have signed up with their vendors. And then I also will request to know any paperwork the vendors have directly signed with uh, the customers, their customers, because there's always a need for a provision when you have a triangular or multi-person, multi-entity transaction. One provision that is always important that protect the promoter is one that deals with the guarantee that what I do, I simply connect you. I then simply connect you. I do not guarantee the performance of the vendor, or to your satisfaction, one way or the other. So if that is in the Dana and the vendor's contract, and also somewhat that is also part of the agreement between the vendor and the customer, then if we see that provision, we can then protect or shield her from any liability lawsuits one way or the other, particularly from the consumers. That's where you get to see this big in Chicago, for example, contract review project come up when you go in and just review one particular provision. Look for it, 1,000 pages. Look for that one particular. If it's there, then you go from there. That, that is basically the gist of what I will run to. What's
Okay.
in writing in terms of her representation to the vendors or to the consumers. And that's how
Okay.
I look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. I just want to pull out something out there. Like what my uncle is saying is that he would look at the contract, right? What is the contract between the vendors and the customers, between her and the customers? I think that's so important. A great point. We all offer contract services. It's really important to know what's in writing to have a contract for your business. My uncle, were you trying to say something else? Did I cut you off?
Yes,
Okay,
because
go ahead.
I shared some element of consumer fraud with us. So, for example, if we want to do a little quick a review of it, I mean, deceptive act, practice, and blah blah blah. Okay, it could be deceptive, right? But then you get to the element of intent, right? How do you show Dana intent to deceive the other person? Actually, Dana didn't. Dana probably dealt with the vendors. The vendors are the ones that deal with the customers. So you go through these kind of elements here. You can see that it's not like a slam dunk, like some of my colleagues will say, slam dunk, oh, gotcha. You have to dig in and look the contours of all in each element in this law, for example, this charge, for example, and go from there. For the future, I will simply say that make sure that you are protected to the max, like protected to the max, where Tony Kemper, one of your contract you were dealing with recently was unconscionable. The vendor or the seller is so protected that the other party looks at it like, no, this is really unconscionable. You can't protect yourself too much like this. So unfortunately, that's the nature of the business. You come in to make money. Make money means that make it and protect yourself. So wherever there's a wiggle room, then you give it away to somebody else. But in the future, really, I would say, hey, bring the professionals, let them draft so this won't happen again. You know, beef up your contract and shields and provisions. Yeah.
Yeah, great. I want to take that to Attorney Barari. If Dana Chanel were your client, I think my uncle did a great, excellent job of really breaking that down. But I wanted to hear your perspective. If she was your client, she came to you, this came across your desk, what's going to be your advice to her?
I think Chief hit the nail on the head with the hammer. I think we have to look at intent, and I think the biggest thing here is that she must show that she did not intend to defraud these customers. Right now, what does that look like? If she herself and uh, her husband, for lack of a better term, were in this together, then maybe. But from my understanding, um, she was dealing with third party vendors, so she was just playing in that drop ship space. Now, in the event, I say, Mr. Camper, I'm gonna make sure you get in contact with Jacoby and he'll help you out. And I reach out to Kobe, and Kobe is supposed to now reach out to you and doesn't. Well, I think that intent piece for me, I didn't intend to defraud you, right? I did what I was supposed to do. Kobe failed to circle back, follow up, what have you. So I think there I would look to see I would want to know if she was working with somebody, or if it was just her, or two, if they were working in tandem. Then I would want to see all of the agreements, right? So, at what point does her liability stop? Is it once she makes the connection to Kobe? Am I still responsible, or is it now is the onus on Jacoby? So, going along with what Chief said, I would also want to review any, and all documents between her and clients, and then her and some of these vendors. Because I can't imagine her and her husband were in the basement making these ointments and apps, and they were just bringing people to them. People would have signed up, and they probably got some sort of commission or something like that. So I just want to see all of the agreements involved, and again, between uh, uh, the consumer and her, and then if there was a third party vendor, then that person as well.
Mm-hmm. Alexandra had a question. He said, "Okay, I didn't know there was a third party, so why not go after the ones who actually were supposed to provide the service?"
I didn't
I
hear that
think there.
question.
Okay, I'll repeat it. She said, "Okay, I didn't know that there was a third party, so why not go after the ones who were supposed to provide the service?"
I think this is where the transparency or the disclosure comes into play, right? Because if Attorney Camper is the face of the organization and the operation, but on the backdrop he's providing people to Jacoby Whitley, the consumer may not know about Jacoby. I just know that I gave Justin my $100 and I was supposed to get a trademark done, and I didn't know that you were then for $20 paying Kobe to do the trademark. So I think that's where transparency becomes key. Alexandria is that one, does the consumer know that they're basically being pawned off to a third party, or did they think they were actually working with Dana Chanel? And I think again that's where some of that counseling and that conversation piece comes in. Like, so what are you telling the consumers? Right? Are we saying again that we're providing these services directly, or are we being transparent and say, look, I'm a third party mediator, right? Intermediary. I'm just gonna get you. I'm gonna take your money. I'm gonna get a commission. I'm gonna give it to them, buy the product, and I'm gonna give it back to you, service, whatever the case may be. So I think that's where business owners need to be transparent. But again, I think for me, that's where the importance of reviewing any and all documents comes into play. Because then at that point, you know what you're dealing with. And then I think at that point, Justin, after you review all documents, uh, and incorporate it in all of the deals, then I think you can determine the type of advice, because it could be, hey, just get ready because they're coming, right? I mean, depending on the way the documents read. I mean, to be honest, the conversation could be, you knew what you were doing. This is the way they're going to approach it. Let's see if there's a way we can come to some sort of agreement to where they're not throwing the book at you and your husband, right? Or on the flip side, the conversation could be, yeah, you didn't know that this is the way it was going to work. Let's get that, get that on the record. Maybe schedule some sort of deposition just to let them know that you did not know that companies were going to defraud. So I think first would be, getting those agreements read again, and I think from there you'd be able to provide adequate legal advice.
So there's about like a 6 individuals or 6 entities sued in this. Their role basically in the transaction is really it will be certainly determined in the actual lawsuit or actual complaint. So just so you know.
Yeah, I think it's really important to point out that she was an LLC, and that does help provide some level of protection when she's doing business. And to small business owners, the first step is making sure that you get set up correctly with the Secretary of State, getting your LLC. And that's the service that I offer, and I'm sure all of us offer, depending on what state you're in. Now, but I wanted to also point out, so we had a comment from Equine said, all these revelations truly encompass what business owners go through. A lot of people think entrepreneurs just earn money and go on with their lives. And I think that's a really great point. And I think there's a lot of lessons in this scenario. So whether she did it or not, whether it was intended or not, I don't know how this is going to play out. It looks terrible. I would say that the complaint looks terrible. And when the government comes after you, they got evidence. Okay. So just know that, right? That doesn't mean you're going to automatically lose. You could always settle or whatever, but they have evidence. They have they have enough evidence to be able to prosecute you. So I think that's something to take into consideration. But before we go into the lessons, because I want you guys to think through what are the lessons that small business owners should be listening to and paying attention to through this. I just want to quickly promote again. If you have a small business, please promote that in the comments. We're going to choose one small business to provide one free legal service for trademarking at the end. So you gotta make sure you listen to the end. We're going to have these three gentlemen. They're going to vote who they think. And so, definitely. I know Attorney Buari is going to leave a little bit early. But definitely, make sure you put in the comments who you are, what's your small business, why is a trademark is valuable to you. Make sure you put that in the comments. But I want us to talk about the lessons, right? Because we can look at this situation and go, oh, okay, wow, that's crazy, right? That would never happen to me. But as small business owners, what should they be learning from the situation? I want to go to you, Attorney Whitley.
From this particular situation, we led off with the LLCs. It's always great to have that protection there. Also, like I mentioned earlier, I think the major point is consumer protection laws exist. Make sure that you know them so that in your marketing, you don't run afoul of them. And also your contract, that point, you need to have some type of clauses in your contract to protect you. An indemnification clause that says, I'm not responsible. My uncle says something that clearly states what the responsibilities and the roles of everybody in the party is. And if you're a vendor or there's a third party vendor involved, to maybe even let that consumer know there's a third party vendor. So you know if something goes left, I'm not the only person you're suing here. And you might be able to wiggle out of the lawsuit and pass the buck on to that vendor through your contracts that you guys have created. So key things, I would say the clauses in your contracts, make sure that you have the LLC and know your consumer protection laws.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I wrote down some things. Number one, policies and procedures for dealing with unsatisfied customers. Unsatisfied customers can make and break your business, right? But if you have a policy in place, okay, if a customer complains, if a customer wants to refund, here's how to deal with that situation, then you can really protect yourself in a lot of ways. You can even formulate, I talked about this with Attorney Bonza with another client about if you have a lot of complaining customers that comes in every blue moon, you want to maybe even create like a special, I forgot what the word he used, but just like a special entity, so to speak, within your company for dealing with customer complaints. And they know exactly how to handle it, what to do. If it falls under a certain requirement, you give them a refund. If it doesn't, then you don't give them a refund. And you can always, shoot them your lawyer's number and say, hey, if you do want to, we were denying your refund, but if you do want to talk to our lawyer, here's our lawyer's number, have your lawyer contact our lawyer. Another thing is you got to be prepared to respond to a lawsuit, okay? And I think that, it's kind of naive to think that, you'll never have any, any conflict, right? We hope that you don't have to deal with lawsuits, but they happen, right? You got to make sure that you're prepared, that you have a lawyer, that's ready to work, that you're working with, that knows your business, that can help you prepare for this, if a lawsuit does happen. Patrick Warren says, stay with the business fundamental to protect yourself always. Absolutely. Absolutely. And a great lawyer can definitely help you with that. Ethical marketing practices. So one of the things I noticed that in this complaint was that they were saying that the marketing was saying one thing, but the contract was kind of saying something different. So they were marketing, hey, we'll create your app, blah, 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 blah. And then the contract will be like, well, we may create your app or blah, blah, blah. And so you got to make sure that you have very fair, ethical marketing practices. You have disclosures, right? Disclaimers. A lot of times clients be like, why do I have to pay you for a disclaimer? Because you want to have a really good disclaimer. You want to make sure it's clear that if a lawsuit does happen, that you can make sure that you were very clear with your clients throughout the entire process, not just when it came to the sign the contract and you threw some terms in there, but even through the marketing. Another thing you want to do is, like I said, solid contracts with your customers, creating disclaimers, and one just really big thing is don't get greedy too quickly, right? Don't get greedy at all, really, but don't scale without a plan. Don't start your business without a proper legal structure, right? So don't scale without a plan. I am a small business owner, right? I'm a lawyer and I'm also a small business owner. So I get it, right? And we want to make money. We come up with these plans. We're like, hey, I want a white label. I want to do this and that. And we think about scaling. We're thinking about, okay, marketing. How can I get people to buy this product? But if you don't have a good back end, if you don't have policies and procedures in place, um, you can really hurt your business in a lot of ways. The Attorney General office is asking them to take down these businesses after this whole lawsuit ends. So your whole business can be destroyed because you scaled too quickly, right? So when you are scaling, make sure you are talking to an attorney. Make sure you do have proper procedures and policies in place. Attorney Buhari, I know you have to leave soon. Do we have a few minutes? Are you about to head out?
I was just about to say, man, it sounds like the game is getting good, and I appreciate it. But I might just keep doing the back and forth thing. But no, I think one of the key things I think you hit on um, is that any and all businesses, I don't care how big or small, should always have a policies and procedures in place. Just in general, I'm real big on compliance. I'm real big on having policies and procedures in place. That way, I think it's easier in these events to present that type of evidence to the AG and say, look, these are the policies and procedures we have in place in the event something like this were to happen. We have a 12-step plan. We've gotten to step 6. We still have 6 more steps. And I think that on the other side, I think that's the other side to that intent coin, right? I think if I can easily show that I do have policies and procedures in place in the event something like this happens, I think it lessens the blow, if that makes sense. And I think it makes it a little easier to say, you know what, I never intended to defraud this person or these persons, because here's what happens in the event if they would have just told me X, this is what would have taken place, right? And then I think that's why um, I'm real big on policies and procedures. I mean, and not only am I big on them, I suggest any and every time small businesses start to scale, any employees, other owners, etc., also know and understand those policies and procedures. But I do have to say, and not only it doesn't sound like the game getting good, buddy, but my 7-month-old is crying, so I think I will have to get off. Appreciate the listeners, appreciate you all. Small business plug. I own a watch company. Right now, we're running a buy one get one. www.blackwatches.com. I'm sure Attorney Kemper has shared with you all, but you'll be in great hands, though.
Yeah, thank you, Attorney Buhari.
Not a problem.
Appreciate you.
You all have a good one.
Yeah, and I'll put your and make sure you put your vote in. Make sure you send me your vote.
I will.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. One other thing that I wanted to add to what you were indicating earlier is that now situations like this will really ruin your reputation as a business. Folks will go out there and put your reviews online and things like that, and add some other things that don't even exist, etc. There's an avenue for that. You as a business, if you feel that review doesn't really reflect the true or the truth about what happened, you have an option to bring a claim about false accusation. And then you can force the owner of the website with a court order, after proving that those accusations are false, to take them down, because if they're out there, they will ruin your business. And so long as they're not full, you still have an option to find an attorney, and that can review that for you, and then bring it to the court of law and get you clean from ill-intended individuals.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to go through some comments. Um, Mike Reynolds said, "Dot all I's and cross all T's. The best form of security is prevention. All business owners, people, period, need a thorough lawyer to understand how the law works in their state." I couldn't have said it better. Uh, he also
Oh,
said, "Yeah,
one second, 1 second. To add to what he said, not only should you surround yourself with lawyers, but folks who like accountants or folks who are in the same line of business as you and see what they have done so you don't have to repeat the mistakes. There are people who are humble to share their opinion. There are people who want you to pay for you to learn from them. So depending on who you surround yourself with, then you can guarantee somewhat success to your business and things like that. Always have powerful and knowledgeable people around your business so you can move forward.
okay, all right, sounds good." We got another comment. It said, "Recently, in Markham, Illinois, they found 1,400 false claims of people saying they own business in order to receive PPP loans. Do you know what the legal ramifications will befall in these individuals?" We actually talked about this exact subject last podcast. But I think that the main thing is that they're facing criminal charges at this point. And so get a criminal defense attorney, because this is not just pay back the money, you're good. A lot of people have that misconception that this is not a criminal charge. That's a criminal charge to defraud the government. So it's all about making sure that you, have a defense attorney at this point, and in the future, make sure you're doing everything honestly. Did you guys want to add anything to that?
True, true. It is unclear as it is this time. Uh, you've always wanted to say, okay, let me find an attorney so that I don't go over there, incriminating myself in what happened, right? Because the laws that they are being charged about at least 5 to 8 charges, right? And then each one of them has an element that the government has to prove, right? If it's on a criminal, then they have to prove it on a beyond a reasonable doubt. If they want to follow you civilly, then by the preponderance of the evidence. So uh, you can't deal with these folks that are already fully loaded and ready to take you down. You want an attorney. No joke. You go find one, review the case with them, review the facts of your case, because even though all of them took the money, but their facts are completely different from one another. So if he gets off, that doesn't mean that you will get off, So things of that nature. I think a profession is always important in cases like this. Unfortunately, there's so many people that did it. I know somebody that, no, I don't know somebody. I heard of somebody that hooked up with a bunch of his cousins, and he found himself like an accountant making businesses. And then the cousin would take the money and pay him $3,000 cash right in and there. So you make a fortune. But then a person like that, is he going to be charged like the other folks that actually took the money, or what? So the nuances are very different. So yeah, it all depends. An attorney is always important in matters like this.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
want to move on to the next topic. I wanted to talk about something that's been plaguing the news: Travis Scott being sued for the Astroworld concert. So, Travis Scott is a rapper, and he a pop person, and he had a concert called Astroworld. And during this concert, 10 people were killed and hundreds of others were injured during a crowd surge that took place during his performance on November 5th in Houston, Texas. Um, the rapper, apparently he said that he didn't know what was going on, but he continued to play and perform for 37 minutes after there was people who had died. One of the people in the suit is a 21-year-old who died. Oh, no, sorry. His family is suing on his behalf. He was a 21-year-old who died from injuries. They said that he was crushed, suffocated, and trampled on. There was a 9-year-old who also died from a similar situation. They said that his death was needless and it was a result of gross negligence. Right now, there's a suit totaling up to $750 million to cover the cost of both physical and mental damage sustained by the victims and families. Ben Crump is also one of the attorneys working on it. He's filed a lawsuit on behalf of 90 people, and I believe the suit is going up to like $1 billion total. They said that he's representing the 9-year-old that passed away. They said that people still are coming in with lawsuits. It could be above 200, but they're still coming in. But they believe that it's going to hit the billions when it comes to this lawsuit. So some of the legal questions in play is negligence, gross negligence, and defenses to negligence. And then we have to answer who's liable here. Travis Scott, Live Nation, Drake, Kylie Jenner, Apple. A lot of people are named defendants in this lawsuit. So I want to know what is your initial reaction to this, Attorney Bonzo?
Oh yeah. I heard you mention one of the legends. Ben Crump is involved in it, and then for some reason uh, he's suing. So I I will speak with a lot of reservation, but the cut is clear. They are suing for negligence, right? You have to find a duty owed, breach of that duty, and also a harm that is caused by the the breach of the duty. So, in this particular instance, when from reviewing the facts, I recall there being a wave in the crowd. You know how the crowd hold each other, and somewhere they go this way, you can't sustain it, right? And then boom, people fall, and that's that instance. Now, without having to speculate, and uh, how is there uh, negligence on the part of the performer? Now you will go into the past instances and concerts where things like this have happened. Is there any way this could have been prevented? Measures to be taken that he did not follow. If he did follow all of this, but then you turn around and see there is some kind of expectation like if I go in the crowd, somebody's going to step on my foot. It's like I'm going on a city, boarding a CTA bus and sue somebody because they step on my foot, sue them for battery. No, that's not going to work. I go to places like this, a concert. I expect to sweat and share sweat with people. I expect to fall. I expect a lot of other things. And then to me, maybe this is making me a little redundant, but it's always important to read the fine print. You're buying the tickets. There's a lot of stipulations in the back of the tickets and everything that follows. Was there anything in there that shield these promoter, this singer, and everybody else, even the security, from liability? It could be that he was there just to sing, but then it was the security which should have known better, and it didn't. Now, without having to know really the elements, the actual facts, it's going to be a serious battle to recover. So yeah, and I believe that in that sense, going to a concert, you sign a contract with, you of course your insurance company has some stipulation in it, in the agreement that you signed with them. So again, without having to know so many facts, I kind of will reserve myself on that. Is it going to be easy to prove negligence? Yes, if there is a duty owed and that duty was breached. So far, unless there has been cases like this that could show that the promoter should have somewhat taken these measures, but they failed to take these measures, then yes.
Yeah. Okay. Attorney Willie, your thoughts on this?
Okay. First, this is a tragic loss of life. And my point's a little different than my uncle's point. My uncle's kind of taking a stance. They assumed the risk, man. They went to a concert. These are known to be raucous concerts. I mean, hey, let me see something that shows that there was a heightened duty or something. But he did name all the elements. But I think some of the elements might be here, and there might be a case here. Because you still had a duty to protect all the concert goers, right? And also, you're supposed to have something in place. Because I think Live Nation is one of the nation's top concert organizers, right? So this is the cream of the crop. They do this all the time. They know what to do. They've seen some of the large and put on some of the largest concerts in the United States. So they should have some type of measures in place to stop the crowd from getting out of control, and if it was, how to shut it down and get the people and things like that. I think some of the arguments are that those things weren't in place. I think that's how Apple got involved. It was saying that based on the structure of the cameras, Apple, those cameras prevented ingress-egress flow, which would have made it easier for people to start backing up when things got out of control. So I agree with Mambo that we really got to get into the facts. This is definitely factual based. And it may not be, even though it's clearly a tragedy, it may not be a slam dunk. Hey, this is negligent, especially gross negligence. Right. I want to add that they're adding gross negligence. Right. Excuse me. They're adding gross negligence to this because they're trying to get those punitive damages. Right. So there's compensatory damages and punitive damages to punish. A lot of the attorneys were saying that, there needs to be a statement that you can't put on concerts like this. Anytime you hear a lawyer say that, they're fishing for punitive damages. So they're trying to run up the damages bill and add 2 to 3 times more of the compensatory award just as a form of punishment to Live Nation, Apple, things like that. Now, amongst those defendants, the all high-powered defendants going to have great legal teams. Like Mambo said, goes back when you're dealing with multiple people, those indemnification clauses say, hey, if then I'm not held responsible, all of those are going to come into play. They're going to be trying to wiggle out. Apple's going to say, I don't have nothing to do with it. Travis Scott's going to say it was Live Nation. So Live Nation's going to say Travis should have stopped the concert. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be super complex, and I think it is a $1 billion lawsuit at this point.
Yeah, and for our listeners, I want to know your thoughts on this. Who do you think is more liable? Is it Travis Scott? Is it Apple? Is it someone put Kylie Jenner as a part of this because Kylie Jenner was posting pictures of the concert while things were happening, and they said she was safely in a skybox or whatever somewhere, and so they feel as though if they can protect her, they should have protected the others. Patrick said, was there a city permit for this concert? Did the fire department approve of the area? And I don't know those facts. I don't know if you guys know those facts, but I would assume so. But I think that it's definitely more so on them. I think that they really, I heard that somewhere that they were allowing people to come in beyond capacity, and that's part of the reason why it happened. So you can have a permit for something, but if you violate the capacity rules, you know, the permit doesn't stop anything. So I want to know your thoughts. They said that Apple, like you mentioned, was responsible for this because Apple Music had cameras, camera stands, cameramen, metal barriers surrounding each of these cameras, and it basically made it hard for people to get out. They were focusing on streaming it, the concert, and instead of they ignored all the red flags, and they were putting, as one of the attorneys said, they put profits over people. Nobody was incentivized to stop the show. Some people said Travis Scott. This is Travis Scott. He's a part of this is his concert, so he's a part of he wasn't just a performer. He actually helped coordinate this thing, so that makes him more liable. He did say that he was willing to pay for the funeral costs for all those who died and pay for therapy for those who may have suffered because of the situation. Then we have, let's see here. So yeah, we got a lot of people who Live Nation, right? They were the ticket where people bought tickets, right? And they were the promoters of this event. Drake was literally just a performer. Is he liable in this situation? And then so they said with Travis Scott, what I thought was interesting, that he has a history of encouraging fans to break barriers. And that was in the complaint. It really railed on him about how he had disorderly conduct and this, for another case, another concert. They just went down a list of how he constantly encourages crowds to just get rowdy and go, and that is the reason why this happened. Attorney Whitley.
I just want to point this out. This is like a hyper-technical point, but although they can't say that, oh, you were charged or one of your concerts were out of control, so this concert was also out of control, but they can use that evidence to show lack of mistake, right? That you knew and had intimate knowledge of what and how easily a crowd can get out of control, so they could use that to show lack of mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. All that is evidence, and then they were using that to rope Drake in here and say, "Hey, Drake, you knew that he has all these crazy concerts. You were a part of this." So, but a lot of people think that Drake is probably going to get dismissed, and that the attorney used Drake to actually get more attention in the media. Sam says there's a difference between fault and responsibility. Those deaths weren't his fault, but because his name is on the concert, he has to assume some type of social responsibility. He also says overall, this uncovers safety and security flaws in the production industry, and there needs to be restructuring. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with that last statement. I think it's his fault and responsibility. I think that he understood that he had these rowdy concerts. He didn't really care. He's had situations like this in the past, and everything worked out fine. He thought this was going to be a similar situation. So I think that he encourages this type of behavior. You're not going to have this at Anita Baker's concert, right? That's not the type of atmosphere there, right? So he creates this break barriers mentality, and that's what happened. Alexandra says touchy subject. You can't control the actions of others, but if they went over the capacity and person charged should be held accountable. Yeah, absolutely. But I think also as a event promoter myself, I take responsibility for that, and I need to make sure I put the right people in place to make sure that things don't go too rowdy. Safety has to be number one priority. I think there were just too many errors that happened here. Jesse said, could they lose their rights by refunding them, or by Can they root their rights by them refunding customers? I'm not sure exactly who you're talking about. I guess you're talking about the rights of. I just go both ways. If you're talking about the rights of the customers, absolutely not. You can get refunded. That's just so like Jacoby mentioned. There's different damages, right? So there's compensatory damages, there's restitution, and then there's punitive damages, right? And punitive damages are damages that are meant to punish the other party. Restitution is meant to make me whole, right? And so you want to make sure that as they can still go after them for a lot more damages than just the refunding. I mean, they have several injuries, therapy, whatever. They're going to rack it up on them. Patrick said, "Can this be equated to the insurrection in Washington D.C.?" I don't think so. But Attorney Bonds, do you have any thoughts on that?
No. I'm sorry. The answer I was directly answering to Patrick. That's why I said no. Yes, but I do have an answer to that. It's different. The one in DC is more an intentional act by a mob that wanted to do what they wanted to do, and we dealing with more of a criminal aspect of the law, as opposed to this where we're looking at a civil aspect of the law where we're looking at liability and money damages. That's that. But then since you brought the DC insurrection, yes, you can add, in addition to that being mainly a criminal matter, you can add a civil to it too, because people got injured, people lost their lives, and one connection or the other. If you are found guilty, you can also be pursued. Whether you find guilty or not on a criminal aspect, you can also still be pursued civilly for the injuries you either caused directly or indirectly to the others that were around you. So, yeah, to answer that question, and then
I
to
know
go back
Attorney
to
Willie
the
had. Yeah. Thank you, Attorney Bonds. I know Attorney Willie had a situation come up and he's gonna have to head out. But thank you for participating today.
Well, I'm gonna try to rock as long as I.
Okay.
I was just giving you a heads up.
Okay, no problem. But yeah, we're gonna keep going. So our next topic is, what do we have on the table here? Let's see. Okay, so our next topic I wanted to talk about, and this is not business related, but I know that is on the news and everybody wants to know what lawyers think about it. I wanted to talk about the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict, and I'm pretty sure most people know about the situation, but just to set it up, Kyle Rittenhouse, there was when Jacob Blake, he had got shot by the police in the back, and there was a big protest going on in Wisconsin, Kenosha, Wisconsin. Kyle Rittenhouse went down to this protest with a gun. He ended up getting into it with one of the protesters down there. He shot one of them. He ran off, and then a bunch of people were chasing him. And then they got into a fight, and basically he ended up shooting two other people. One injured and two people died in total. And so they charged him with 4 counts, I believe. No, 5. No, 7 counts. 2 of them were dismissed before the trial ended. But they charged him with first-degree reckless endangering safety, use of a dangerous weapon, first-degree reckless homicide, use of a dangerous weapon, first-degree intentional homicide, use of a dangerous weapon, and then attempted first-degree intentional homicide, use of a dangerous weapon. And then these charges were dismissed before the actual jury came out. But it was possession of a dangerous weapon by a person under 18, and then failure to comply with the emergency order from the state or local government. He was found not guilty on all charges. I want to know what are your thoughts on this. Did the jury do their job, or was there some errors in this situation?
Well, I think the jury did their job, right? They made a decision. is whether the prosecution and the defense attorneys how how that performance affected the jury's interpretation. Now, the Kyle Rittenhouse case for me, I have been super busy on this period, so I couldn't sit like some attorneys on TikTok all day and give everybody right. But I was able to catch it, right? When I was the views that I was able to catch, I think the prosecution was cross-examining the witness. It was horrible. I had to say that I'm the best attorney in the world. I have all the experience in the world, but just from the little bit I do have, I mean, it just wasn't put on well. And it was a situation where the picture was painted, right? Mr. Rittenhouse's defense was self-defense, right? And the prosecution kind of made it seem like it was a chaotic scene, but several times the prosecution made it seem like, not the defense, listen to what I'm saying, the prosecution made it seem like, oh, Mr. Rittenhouse was responding to a threat, right? And then I didn't see it all, but I don't know how much the prosecution dealt with, even though they categorized as him responding to a threat, the proportionality. So with self-defense, you can only respond to a threat that's proportional to the threat that you're receiving, right? So jump kick man, if jump kick man didn't have a weapon, you can't fire a firearm or jump kick man, right? If Mr. Rosenbaum didn't have a weapon, and the prosecution did try to get this out, but Mr. Rosenbaum didn't have a weapon, then Mr. Rittenhouse's response wasn't proportionate. The gentleman with the skateboard, that could argue, and you can have some legally back and forth. In my personal opinion, I think there should have been a homicide, at least in Mr. Rosenbaum's case, I believe. But that's not the way it went. But I think that is not indicative of the jury. I think it was indicative of the case in chief, respectively, from the prosecution and the defense. And that's my take on it. I don't necessarily agree with the opinion, but based on what I saw the attorney's performance, I could see how this opinion was made. And I also saw this because it took so long in deliberation. And it's just, think about people, when you locked in that room, these people can't see their families, and you're the holdout, right? You're either going to hold out and it's going to be an acquittal, right? Or everybody, if the majority is not guilty, they're going to lean on you for not guilty because it's pretty much going to be the same thing as acquittal. So why don't you go ahead and come over to this not guilty side, right? And that's what it comes down to with these deliberations that take 3 days, 4 days. Whoever's in the majority has the leverage, and they leverage those other jurors. And you're either going to get an acquittal through a hung jury. That jury that stands their ground has to be very, very strong, and you don't get that a lot. And normally everybody ends up getting on one side of the room, and you get these decisions. I think that's what happened in this case.
Yeah. I think there's a lot there for sure. Attorney Bond, I'll let you go before I get my quick thoughts on that.
Attorney Whitley said, put it very well. But in addition to what he saw, I also saw some irregularity, whether it be on a technique or on a part of profession or rules of conduct. Mayor Lori Lightfoot, in one of her meeting, she indicated that the judge, to use his words, her words, I guess his words, now that we say they were their words, I don't know, put his thumb on that scale of justice, which means that the judge role in this case had a lot to do with all if not everything. And why do I say that? The way the judge you are observed as this little god sitting there and very neutral to the extent for a lot of reasons. You owe it to the people that you serve. Second, you owe it to your own ruling as well because you may be overturned later. This judge did every single thing that shocked the nation in this case by refusing to call the victim, right? And then also, in addition to that, he might have sent a message to the jury in a negative way against the prosecutor. It was very unprofessional towards the prosecutor, and he did what he could do. But the moment you yell at him all and every time in front of the jury, you are doing something like to say, okay, I really don't side with you and stuff like that. And then one of the other things that he did in the end, really, he indicated that no, actually, he requested or asked the defendant in the case to use the coin to decide whatever and participate in whatever they did. I kind of saw that little came too close to a judge, a sitting judge, a defendant in a multi-murder case, coming too close to a sitting judge in doing the proceeding. So all of that could mean that okay, I don't really see anything here, you folks. You just have to do so we can get out of here. The defense, on the other hand, they also did a good job, right? And did a good job in what they did to defend their clients. But my take really is that I don't think this was a clean cut case given the facts presented, but I'm just simply disappointed in somewhat indirect or direct influence of the judge.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go into that, and I think I'm gonna go into the comments really quickly. But for all those who are listening, the Small Business Saturday podcast, we are a business attorneys, and we talk about business issues. Right now, we're talking about something that's not business, but this is Small Business Saturday, and I wanted to celebrate small businesses. And I wanted to make sure that I gave you guys an opportunity to participate in the trademark giveaway. So if you have a small business, make sure that you put it in the chat. What is your small business, and why do you need a trademark? And Ludine said, "Happy Saturday. This should be good. Thank you. We've been having a great discussion so far. Thank you for participating." Patrick said, "At this point, we know the outcome of that particular case retrospectively, but how did his mother get away from being charged with aiding and abetting? She drove him across state line with the intent of getting involved with a given fact." I actually saw that fact checkers checked that, and that did not happen. Now I could be wrong, but that's what the fact checker said, that he did not, that he actually drove there by himself, and that was actually a false. And there was a lot of just bad evidence that came out through this case, facts, or I should say bad facts that came out. A lot of people think that he shot 3 black men, which was not true at all. They were all white. So just a lot of just misinformation I was handed out through the media and just through a lot of different scenarios. So I'm not sure if that was true, Patrick. Here's my thoughts on it. I think that based off the facts that I know, and I'm with Jacoby, I didn't have time to just sit here and watch this whole thing. But based off the facts, based off what I read, I do think it does seem kind of odd that he got away with nothing, that he didn't get charged with anything. But I don't think that they could really prove that he had intentional homicide, and that reckless endangerment, all these heavy charges, reckless homicide, when people are coming at him, with deadly force. And he responded with deadly force. I don't think that you can really prove that. I think that the best defense was self-defense. And I think this lawyer did a great job proving that. I don't think the facts really were in the favor of the prosecutor's office. Now, granted, they could have done a better job. I'm not saying that they couldn't have done a better job, but I don't think the facts were in their favor. I don't think that I do think that the media played a major role in this, and I'm glad that this case did get national attention. I'm not saying it shouldn't have got national attention, but it turned into politics instead of what the law says, and did he actually break the law? It turned into, okay, Republicans are for this guy and Democrats are against this guy. Instead of looking at, is this guy innocent? What are the facts of the case? It turned into characterizing him as a vigilante, white supremacist, when there was no facts or really no evidence for that. Should he have been down there? Should he have brought a gun? No, right? It was irresponsible, you know. But it was irresponsible. But should he have done that? No. But should he be charged with a crime? And based off what I've seen, I don't think he should have been charged with those top 6 crimes with the jury acquitted him with, or maybe charged with it, but I don't think he had enough to really prove it. And so, one thing I saw that another lawyer said that I would have hammered if I was a defense attorney: being irresponsible is not a crime. Putting yourself in a dangerous situation is not a crime. It just makes you irresponsible. Okay. So just because he shouldn't have been down there, or the police would have handled the situation differently if it was a black man, that has nothing to do with whether he committed a crime or not, whether he was guilty of the charges or not. And so that's something to keep in mind. Judge Barksdale is online, and she said, "Hey guys, miss you all. We missed you too. Thank you for participating in this, Judge Barksdale." So we're going to move on from this. We're going to go to another super hot topic right now, is the Ahmaud Arbery killers verdict. Okay, and they were all found guilty. And just for those who don't know, but I'm sure most people know, the situation that happened was, Ahmaud Arbery was allegedly jogging, and these 3 white guys came up to him, and they basically thought he was one of the burglars in the community. They were trying to stop him. He wasn't listening to them. They got into a fight. They ended up shooting him, killing him. They actually got away with it at first. Then the video surfaced on social media, and then they ended up getting charged. Now the head prosecutor, is actually booked and charged. They were just recently found guilty for the charges. Just want to know, what are your general thoughts on the situation?
The very approach of it, before we get even to the end, is a reflective moment for every single one of us in this country. The first caveat is not all whites are racist, not all blacks are racist. There are blacks who are racist, there are whites who are racist. Now, let me move on with that. The next thing is the struggle it took to even charge this person in this country, gunned down, hunted down like an animal, gunned down by people who want to take matters into their own hands with whatever badge they have on their shoulder. And it took a lot of time. And the gist of this case was, you cannot create a danger and then claim self-defense for the danger you created against yourself. And that was the bottom line. And the prosecutor did a very, very good job. And the bottom line is also the fact that I commend the jury, because when we had 9 versus 1 black in that jury, everybody went down like, oh my God, it's going to be a somber day.
Right.
But then, like the prosecutor said, present the truth to the jury. Tell them what happened and let them do their job. And this jury did exactly what It did. Sometimes, right? And this is what it takes us back to a Kyle Rittenhouse case a little bit. The delineation between okay, right or wrong sometimes is a blur, right? But then when you see evil, you know it. It's there. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what evil is. And that's exactly what took place in this case. I believe that we have a criminal justice system that works sometimes, depending on where you are and what day or month of the year that is, and then who's behind you, standing with you. Um, and in this case, in this particular case, it worked. It
Mhm.
worked. The late John Cochran said that rich get a different, level of justice, and then minority and poor get a different one, and minorities get a different one compared to the whites, depending on the case. And that is very justifiable in the way we see things. And I believe that they simply did the job. The jury did their job, and you can tell the difference between this judge and the other judge.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I just want to piggyback on that. First of all, I want to address the comment that Al Williams said. He said, "What happened to the underage with the firearm?" The judge is himself dismissed it. And let me see here. I wrote down the reasoning. It was because he was armed with the AR style semi-automatic rifle. The law permits minors from possessing firearms except for hunting or when supervised by an adult. In a day, and the attorneys argue that under the subsection of the law, regarding shot barrel rifles, providing ground for dismissing the charge. And then the prosecutors argued that the defense is misreading the statute, and um, denied. He declined dismissing the charge, and then he said the statute was confusing, and then the prosecutor conceded that the rifle was not short barreled, and so the judge dismissed the charge. So it was like a technicality or something, or a misreading of the statute is what they were getting at. And so I think that you are so correct in what you're saying about the judge, how the judge handled the Ahmaud Arbery in that situation versus how they handled the Rittenhouse situation is so totally different. The judge was trying to be non-biased and fair, and it showed. It showed a lot. And I think the judge in the Rittenhouse case should be, he should be disciplined. He was very non-biased. He's very biased. Um, so yeah, I want to know your thoughts, audience. So let me know. Do you think the jury got it right in the Rittenhouse case and in the Ahmaud Arbery case? Sam says the verdict was correct. He was afraid for his life, so he acted accordingly. But that wasn't justice. There are so many gun law, wisdom, racial, social justice issues that weren't addressed. Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of issues that were addressed. That could have been addressed as far as gun laws in general. But you can't do that. When someone is being charged, you got to look at what is the law on the books, and did that person violate that particular law. As far as the Ahmaud Arbery, I hate to call it the Ahmaud Arbery trial because he's not the one on trial. It's the McMichaels and Mr. Roddy. I forgot what his last name was, but I think that it's important. I definitely think the jury got it correct. I was just thinking, if when I was watching it, I'm like, man, I would have hammered so much into to the witness, the guy that testified on his own behalf, one of the son, I believe. The guy had nothing on him that indicated that he stole something. You were not law enforcement officer. You were his dad was a former law enforcement officer. so you weren't law enforcement officers. You didn't have a right to trap him. You didn't catch him in the act. You know, he had on a shirt and some shorts. Okay, so you know what was he stealing? Then they try to bring up the fact that they saw him in this abandoned building. They saw in the camera of this abandoned building, and then it came out later that multiple people walk into that abandoned building because they think that there's water there. A lot of people when they're jogging or whatever, they think there's water there. So then that got thrown out. I mean, it was just I'm so proud of how that case was handled. You know, from a lot of different perspectives. I think the sad part about this is there was no video; they wouldn't have gotten charged. And I think that that's just a sad situation. And how many people who are on video? I mean, who are? I'm sorry. How many people who have charges or should have charges, but it's not on video, so justice isn't carried out. I think that's just something to think about. Um, and I just, man, I just really think that it just brings out a lot of different issues. And I'm really glad that it happened the way it did. But I can't help but to say, man, why did they get off? I mean, why did they get found guilty and not George Zimmerman? And I know there was the stand your ground law, and he claimed that the concrete was used as self defense, but I just don't see it. I don't see how George Zimmerman should have got off when he initiated. The police told him not to go for it. He directly disobeyed the police, and he gets found not guilty. I just don't see it. Patrick said, I know my statement here has no legs in court. However, I believe under the previous government, there are some people who believe they can do anything, regardless of what it is, and get away with it. Yeah, I mean, I definitely hear you on that. You know, I don't think that you know, Trump, you know, was promoting this guy. You know, I don't think he's standing by this guy right now. You know, I don't think a lot of people are not standing by the killers of Ahmaud Arbery. You know, I think that it's just, you know, what people say, white privilege in general, just that confidence to say, you know what, I want to stop someone who I think is doing something wrong, and you know, I believe I'm gonna get off because you know I just feel like I have that right. One last thing before we go, I wanted to talk about the AKA suing or potentially suing the show Insecure. And I just want to break it down. It's about trademarks. So I wanted to save this topic to the end, and then we can announce our trademark giveaway. For those who are still listening, we're doing a trademark service giveaway. So if you can write in your, if you haven't already, write what is your business, what does your business do, and why would you be in use of a trademark. I will appreciate that. Attorney Bonza, if you can go ahead and put your vote in. Unless someone else comes in and comment, you can go ahead and put your vote in on who you think should win that trademark service giveaway. But I want to talk about the situation with the AKA. So AKA Alpha Kappa Alpha, I believe that's the initials for it. It's a sorority, and they are a well-known sorority. And they there was a show called Insecure, and what happened was on the show, one of the people was supposed to have been an AKA, and they had on AKA material. They had on the pink, green, and I believe gold, I believe is their colors. They had on the slash. They had on, you know, the AKA symbol to represent the, you know, a real life potential AKA. And so what happened was on social media, a lot of people got angry, and the AKAs in particular said, "Hey, you false flag." Right, and a lot of fraternities and sororities, they take their fraternity and sorority very, very seriously. And so what happened was this whole thing came out of it, and you know, now, you know, it's in front of the newspapers. It's a big issue, And the corporate director, the executive director of the AKA sorority said, we please allow the corporate office to handle this matter. We all have a duty to protect our brand. We are taking legal steps to protect our brand. And they also ask that people who are involved with the sorority to not engage with anyone on social media or anyone else about this matter, to let them handle the legal aspect of this issue. Also, to bring out the point, they trademarked the Greek letters, and they trademarked the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority badge, the coat of arms, the name Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. They named Ivy Leaf, the sound Ski Wee, the term fashionette are federally registered trademarks within the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. And I wanted to bring it to you, Mayombo. Have you interacted with, and I want to know your thoughts on the situation, audience. Do you think that the sororities, do you think that Insecure should have done this, portrayed an AKA? Do you think it was a big deal, or do you think that it's a big deal, that they should not have done this? Now, we're going to talk about the legal aspects in a second, but I want to know your thoughts on this, Attorney Bonza. If you are a part of not you, but I know you are familiar with frats and sororities. How have your experience been? How have people been about protecting, their brand, and just being, very, very proud of sorority? How has your experience been with dealing with people who are involved in frats and sororities?
Well, this experience has been one of the few that's somewhat not allowed to share because of the lack of exposure. I get it a lot that somewhat I disappear and mind into business. So I think it's more of a situation where a person who's got a lot more exposure to that area, they can respond.
Okay, so no, you haven't dealt with a lot of the sororities and frats, and people being okay. Wow, that's really great. That's really great to hear your perspective on that.
I didn't know what I didn't know what it was when I came to the country. So the first thing I see is around their house is always somebody drunk laying on the grass drinking. So I think it's like, to me, when I saw it, and I didn't ask nobody to tell me, but I went to NIU. So when I'm around them, it's just like it's loud, it's either fight, it's this and drunkenness. I said, okay, what is this? I don't know. So I stayed away. So never ask. So that's my fault for being a foreigner.
No, I mean, I think it's really good to hear someone's perspective from, not from America, who's from the Congo, and just your outlook on what you see from sororities and frats. But Attorney Willie is back, and I know he has a lot to say about this issue. And like I said, for those who are listening, what are your thoughts on this? Who's right? Is it AKA? Is it Insecure? But I want to know your thoughts on this. We're going to talk about the legal aspects of this. Who do you think has a leg to stand in this situation?
Absolutely. But yeah, I just want to warn you. I gotta go pick up my vehicle, and I've been
sure. No problem.
But check it. So I went to an HBCU for undergrad, so I know Greeks. I'm not a Greek, but I'm familiar with Greek life. They take it serious. Right. But particularly with this case, I would assume that since there are chartered companies, that they would, and that they have large memberships. They're all international organizations at this point. And I guess I'm going to keep this focused towards the Divine Nine. And again, I don't know about predominantly white Greeks and things like that. I don't know anything like that. So I can just speak from what I know, right? So as far as the Divine Nine, I'm quite sure they're all national organizations at this point. They have strong membership, so I'm quite sure they're successful. I'm quite sure they have trademarks, copyrights to their materials. However, in my experience as an attorney, that might not be true, right? I understand that this was the organization's stance, but we have to see in court if they are actually truly trademarked. And if everything's protected in the way that they should. I tried to do a preliminary search. I didn't see, as you know, Justin, it depends on also what class they trademarked in. I didn't see the organization in class 25, which handles retail and clothing. I would assume so, but then again, from my own experience, I do know that there are third-party vendors or non-Greek vendors that do sell Greek paraphernalia. Right? Now, do we have to get some type of licensing agreement to do that? Right? I know people that kind of make stuff for Greeks. Right? And I don't think they have an official license. I'm not saying AKAs don't come from me. I'm not saying that they don't. Right? I'm saying that they should. I would expect them to. Right. But in my career as an attorney, you can be surprised, even by huge organizations. So if there is a trade, if they are missing maybe like an international class for clothing or things, something like that, they could, HBO could have some defenses there and things like that. In researching this, I thought of a good question. Who knew on the set? Right? Who knew? Was this clear? Did someone find that maybe in clothing that there wasn't a registration, maybe in movie production there wasn't a registration, and they're trying to exploit that gap, and they already did their research beforehand? And this clickbait to bring attention to the organization and also the show, right? I don't know. The court case will sort that out, but that's what it's going to come down to. But it is an interesting case. Again, I was out on the phone to come back. Normally, the set directors and everything like that really do believe, or normally do some type of alteration, right? They don't do an exact replica, right? They might use the same colors, but the emblem or something might be different. This was supposed to be a spot-on thing, but we'll see how it plays out in court. It should be an interesting case if it goes that far, if it doesn't just settle. Most likely it's going to settle. We'll never get case law.
Right. Alexander said, I don't believe it was a big deal, but given that many shows over years past have rarely portrayed real Greek fraternities and sororities in drama, I was really shocked that Insecure actually did represent the sorority. Yeah, I think that was a good point to bring up. Now, here's what my perspective was. Now, it did says on the AKA website that they have all that stuff federally registered.
You got the registrations. You can say it loud.
Yeah. Jacoby said he went on the website on the actual USPTO. He didn't see it, but that's what they say on their website.
Right, but I didn't do an extensive search. You know what I mean? I didn't do the extensive search. There's a lot of AKA stuff, right? Right. Those actual letters, right? Organization, Alpha Kappa, Alpha Boy.
Right.
AKA letters. There's a lot.
Right.
And so I don't know what they have trademarked, right? Is it just the letters?
Sure. That's what they're saying. That they have the letters, they have the badge, the coat of arms, the colors, the sound skiwi, and the term fashionetta are all trademarked under their brand. That's what they're saying. So I'm gonna just assume that they're.
But I saw a live mark. I would expect them to, but I did see a live mark for AKA clothing brand in class 25.
Okay.
But I only spent like 10, 15 minutes searching. It's not like they paid me.
Right. For sure.
Right.
So I wanted to just bring up a point. And again, for those who want to participate in the, she said Fashionetta. Yeah, they trademarked Fashionetta. If for those who want to participate in the trademark giveaway, I want you to make sure you put in there your small business owner. I want Mayumbo and Attorney Whitley to judge based off the statements that people give. Who do you think deserves to be a small business? Who should get the trademark giveaway? But yeah, put in there what is your trademark? I mean, what is your business? What do you do? If you have a small business, I want to promote you anyway because this is Small Business Saturday. But I wanted to put in there what you do and why you deserve a trademark. Now, here's the main points I want to bring out. Okay, so first of all, they said potential lawsuit. I don't even know if this is actually a lawsuit. They just said we're taking legal action. So who knows what they're actually doing. But here's what I wanted to bring out. You can trademark a name, a logo, a slogan, colors, sounds, can all be trademarked. Okay. And as long as they're associated with your business, you can have a color mark, right? So like their colors are green, pink, and whatever. No disrespect to AKs, but whatever their colors are, they trademark. They can trademark that. They can actually trademark colors. They can trademark the sound ski wee if they actually are using that as associated with their business. The thing to remember with trademarks, you can only trademark to a particular classification, which means to a particular product or service, right? So you can't, I can use ski wee if I'm selling cookies, okay? But when it comes to the sorority aspect of it, I can't use ski wee, right? Another thing it brought up into mind, if I'm portraying a character on TV, am I allowed to use that person's trademark? And I think that's a really good question to think about. And I would assume no. I would assume without permission, you're not allowed to. If you're using it in the same manner and form as that person was. But at the same time, it does bring a tricky question in there because you're not using it to sell that person's particular product or services. You're just using it to portray a certain thing. So it's a tricky question there. But the best thing to do is to set yourself up for a trademark. And just to let you know that you can get a lot of things trademarked you set yourself up right. So we are going to begin our drawing. Okay, so we do have a winner. They have put their votes in, and based off this person won the most votes. 2 out of 3. It was best out of 3, and 2 people voted for this particular person. And so for the trademark giveaway, we're going to give it to Vina Carter with Authentic Embrace LLC. She has a mobile spa and wellness service. Vina, put your comment below. Just letting you know you still see this. A mobile spa and wellness service that provides professional massage therapy. And I'm gonna do a trademark for you. All you gotta do is come to my website and just set up an appointment, and I will go ahead and take care of that for you. And for all those who did participate but didn't win, I am going to give a special discount. I'm already running a Black Friday discount, but for those who participated and put in the comments, why they, deserving of a trademark, I want to do a 50% discount for you who are participating today. So Leslie, Candace, who other businesses we had out there, Alan Powers, if you're interested, whoever wants to put their businesses out there, they want trademarks because this is Small Business Saturday. We're supposed to be supporting small businesses. I am going to make sure that I support you guys on this Saturday and make sure that we are protecting your brand. We had an extended, long podcast because it's Small Business Saturday, and the name of our podcast is Small Business Saturday. So we had to do it big for Small Business Saturday, and we want to support you. Before we head out, I want Attorney Whitley, Attorney Bonza, let them know where you can find you, what you do, and we're going to close out. Go ahead, Attorney Whitley.
Yes, my name is Attorney Jacoby Whitley. You can find me at law office of jkw.com. The phone number is 1-833-225-5559. That's 1-833-CALL JKW. We look forward to hearing from you.
Attorney Bonza.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in and listening and participating. It was very helpful for many of us to learn from you. My name is Mayombo Bonza. Bonza Law. You can see at the bottom right there, Bonza Law. We are in DuPage County, Glen. The phone number to reach us to is 872-205-6770, 872-205-6770. And our main email address is case@banzalaw.com. That's MBANZALAW.com. Banzalaw.com. We are open to listen. Sometimes we do offer free consultation. Sometimes we charge, depending on the situation. So feel free to come on by and pick our brain, and we go from there. And if I don't talk to you this next month, probably wishing you a happy holiday to you and your family. Stay strong and keep fighting. Keep fighting.
All right. Well, thank you guys for participating. We are going to be back December 18th for another podcast episode. We're going to be coming to you with legal commentary about what's going on in the news. And I wanted to say I appreciate Attorney Whitley, Attorney Bonza, and Attorney Buhari who had to leave. I know lawyers' time is a lot of, it's expensive, but you guys set out time to talk with us, to let the public know about legal issues, and I appreciate you. For all those business owners, please schedule an appointment with me. I want to make sure you participate in the special discount, especially you, Vina. We're going to make sure that we take care of you and help you participate in that. But thank you guys so much for listening in, for sticking it through for these 2 hours. I appreciate it. We'll be back December 18th for another podcast episode. Make sure you like, subscribe. Small Business Saturday Podcast with Attorney Justin Camper. Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy holiday.